records so far, and they are both rocking the rogue decks of the format.
Yeah, absolutely. Both the rogue decks, you know, not a lot of Fable, the Mirror Breaker in the format. Nathan's playing that card, and then not a lot of tempo decks, which Jean-Emmanuel is playing. So yeah, exactly. Kind of the decks that are standing out, at least to me.
Standing out in standard. Nathan Steuer rocking Grixis midrange was able to pick up game number 1 against Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. And let's take a look at these opening hands. I gotta say, I don't love that one. The Consider in there.
Yeah.
Maybe think about that, but ugh.
You really do only need that second land, you know. Then you do have Reckoner Bankbuster, and then you kind of hang behind that. You either counter something, or you just draw a card. But yeah, it's kind of risky because it also doesn't really line up that well against Fable, the Mirror Breaker. So there's some risk to it, but it could be an excellent hand as well.
All right, well, that Consider's got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah.
Nathan Steuer leads things off here with a Swamp and finds Invoke Despair, has 2 copies of Fable the Mirror Breaker. Does this Consider find a land? Sure does. All right, so now Jean-Emmanuel can do everything in his hand. So this is fine.
Completely fine. And now it'll be interesting if Jean-Emmanuel Depraz wants to hold up Essence Scatter for a creature, one of the 2-drops, and then play Impulse if you don't, or get that Reckoner Bankbuster down.
Yeah, Reckoner Bankbuster's just been a great way to get some card advantage and get a creature out there if you have something to crew it with. But
yeah. Not a card we saw a lot of, you know, and I wonder if that was because players were a little afraid of Jund showing up in a little bit bigger numbers, just with, not Invoke, blanking on the Unleash the Inferno.
Yeah.
Yeah, just killing something and dealing with that. It becomes such a liability. And look at this, we are just jamming, and it is gonna work.
Let's do it. Fable the Mirror Breaker, an Impulse, only available here for Jean-Emmanuel. Let's go digging at the top. Let's see if there's anything to deal with this spell.
Nathan making sure to check all of his cards to make sure he knows what they all do, or just likes to play.
Yeah, he's one of those fidgeters, huh?
Yeah.
It's like the Brian Kibler special, the flick, 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 flick.
You know, really keeping the paper magic alive with the card flicks, you know?
Oh, we're going to get back to that again very shortly. But for now, he's going to have to flick some digital cardboard and hope that his cards are scary enough against Jean-Emmanuel, who's playing the scariest color in all of Magic, blue. Here comes a Haughty Djinn.
Yeah, and there's Haughty Djinn with Slip Out the Back or Essence Scatter available, but wow, if Nathan had Fable the Mirror Breaker resolve last time, you have to think there is no negate or make disappear unless Jean-Emmanuel Depraz just drew one.
Oh yeah. Let's see if we're going to discard 2 cards, Ruinous Vortex and Blood Tithe Harvester. Seem destined for the bin. Not too sure about the Harvester, though.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of interesting, especially, the flip side of Fable the Mirror Breaker, the reflection of Kikijiki is so good with Harvester.
Oh, it loves Harvester. That's like its best bud.
But I guess, you know, I would be really tempted to discard Invoke Despair since it's so expensive against this. But if you didn't get your Fable the Mirror Breaker destroyed, you know, maybe this one's going to work too.
But Corey, the 3-for-1s. Think of the 3-for-1s. I love Invoke Despair.
And honestly, Nathan could go for it this turn and it would work.
Infernal Grasp on the Haughty Djinn. Going to attempt to protect it, slip it out the back, and the second Infernal Grasp says, no, you will stay, and you will die. All right, looking good here so far for Steuer, our 2-time Mox winner. That's no easy feat, I will tell you that much.
And 4-time top 4. How incredible is that? Nathan is really, you know, putting his stamp on digital Magic, and I mean, honestly, just any form of Magic.
Any Magic, yeah.
He's been
just give him a couple cards, and he is going to annihilate you, most likely.
I don't want to play against him.
Have you?
I have.
What's your record?
0-2. Just a couple of Magic Online events, and I have not beaten him
That's why you're in the booth, huh?
Exactly, yeah. Will you
Oh, Corey, I love you. Fable the Mirror Breaker, number 2 is going to hit the board here, and Steur's going to be feeling very good about this position right now. Just 2 Essence Scatters and a Bankbuster for Depraz, not finding anything of use. This Bankbuster is going to have to go digging, finds Search the Count's Castle or Thirst for Discovery if you are not stuck in Innistrad. as well as to consider.
And that is one of the dynamics of this Grixis deck compared to the other Esper deck. It really has to jam a lot more. You know, the Esper decks are designed in such a way that you have a lot of permission spells, like a lot more counter spells, because you could also be playing the Wandering Emperor. So if your opponent doesn't overextend, you play Wandering Emperor and you're set pretty well. Grixis doesn't really have something like that. It just has a lot of haymakers at sorcery speed. So you see a lot more duresses instead of a lot more negates and make disappears and something along those lines.
Invoke the Winds was the find there for Jean-Emmanuel. I want to see stuff stolen, just putting it out there. Search the Count's Castle, though. Just going to fire off, see what we find there. Essence Scatter. So many Essence Scatters.
Yes, and they are not looking good against Fable the Mirror Breaker and Invoke Despair. Yeah. Maybe that is why Nathan really prioritized discarding Blood Tithe Harvester.
Yeah.
Just knew if you don't have Negate, what do you have in hand? It's got to be Essence Scatters.
Oh, yeah. What gets discarded here? Certainly a copy of Essence Scatter. Just going to try and fill up the graveyard for a potential Haughty Djinn somewhere down the line, but look at these 2/2s. There's a 2/2, there's a 2/2. That's a lot of damage coming through. That's 2 swings, and Jean-Emmanuel's dead.
Absolutely, and that is the Fable of the Mirror Breakers still coming down eventually and being creatures as well. Like, this is looking extremely good for Nathan. And it was really all because he just went for it with these Fable of the Mirror Breakers. If there was even one negate, that first one getting countered, you know, you really fall a lot further behind. And when you don't discard any cards to the second one, you know Jean-Emmanuel's like, oh, I'm dead.
Oh, we're going to see Invoke Despair. I'm so excited. This card is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it can hose you completely. But first things first, let's make all the treasure. Look at that. Look at that. He's just accelerating. He's doubling his mana each turn.
Yeah, and we're going to see Invoke to start. And the main reason we're going to see it here is because you have another 4 mana to play Shieldred. And after this resolves, it's just like, all right, come on.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, this is fantastic stuff. As much as I love Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, I love seeing a mono blue deck getting beaten up by Invoke Despair. Look at this costing cost. 1 and 4 black. You kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely. We saw this card kind of make its stamp on Standard in these more mono black control decks that were early on the Standard format. But after we lost Meathook Massacre, those decks weren't as great. And wow.
So much damage because he couldn't sacrifice anything. So many more cards for Nathan. I mean, there's no way that Jean-Emmanuel comes back.
Do we cast another one?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
I mean, if
the first one didn't get countered, just go for it. Do it. No, don't. Oh, come on.
That was actually kind of worst case for Nathan because we're going to see double Essence Scatter, which is kind of brutal, so you almost don't want to play Shieldred, where Invoke Despair would have won the game on the spot.
Yeah, but again, these players are, they don't want to lose to whatever potential blowout there could be. It's like, oh, I tapped out entirely, I used all my treasures. And now somehow you're able to win. I mean, there's no real way that Jean-Emmanuel gets back into this.
No, Mono Blue doesn't have the sweeper, so we're done here. This is going to be, Nathan Steuer and Julian Wellman at the top of our leaderboard, 2 20 and 21-year-olds leading the World Championship.
Oh, the young guns are out to put their name
I love it.
On the game. I absolutely love it indeed. Jean-Emmanuel gonna go digging, trying to find something here. Is able to make a pilot.
The pilot is like, what did I walk in on here? This is not good.
Hang on, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
Can I get back in the Bankbuster? Is that cool? Poor guy. But yeah, just Jean-Emmanuel looking. If there is an app to be found, though, I will say the person to find it is Jean-Emmanuel.
That's true. And it's going to be step 1. I guess land, there's nothing that can be done anymore. Invoke the Winds to take a creature, be able to block 2 creatures. He's kind of close, able to block 2 of these shamans. And there is that 1 other blue mana, but it's just not going to be enough, especially with Make Disappear off the top. Slip out the back is something that Jean-Emmanuel Depraz could have to stay alive. But
we're just going for Invoke. Love it. No need to swing. Good game from Jean-Emmanuel. Nathan Steuer picks up a 2-0 with his Grixis mid-range deck and improves